That was a pretty good movie, The Brothers McMullen.
Yeah.
Was John McMullen one of the brothers McMullen that was not seen in the movie and was cut out and left on the cutting room floor? Let's find out. He joins us now. John McMullen, our NFL and Eagles insider. How are you, John?
I'm doing well. I am a Brothers McMullen. There are a few of us, so there's too many of us, actually.
So how many brothers do you have?
I have two brothers. Rumor has it.
Rumor has it.
I mean, are there any mix-something families with an only child?
That's a great question. I
doubt it. Seriously.
Even in this day and age, when people aren't having, like, a lot of old families would have, like, 8, 7, 8, 9 sisters and stuff. And there's always, like, big families, 12 kids. Some people still do that.
Oh, I know.
Right, John?
Yeah, they do. Well, Irish and alcohol is a big thing. So when you put those two together, sometimes
you start having extra kids.
Well, I'm glad you said that as an Irish guy. If I had said that, I'd be having people come after me here with pitchforks and what do you call it? And,
well, I'm allowed
torches.
To say it. You're allowed to say it about yourself. So
exactly. Right.
That's fine. I don't think I'll be canceled for that, but who knows?
Exactly.
Check in a few hours.
John McMullen, of course, some of the NFL news, the opt-outs are all over with now. Yesterday was the deadline. But the big story, we'll get to the situation going on here with the Eagles, and they did re-sign Vinny Curry to a one-year deal. But one of the big stories today is that Russell Okung, the Panthers' offensive lineman, obviously, the left tackle, is mulling retirement now. He didn't opt out.
Because of the coronavirus,
yes,
right?
He said he missed the first 10 games last year. He had a pulmonary embolism because of blood clots, and now he's thinking about retiring, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, Russell's had that kind of history. Remember, he acted as his own agent at times. He's always been very proactive when it comes to the Players Association, when it comes to union-type issues. So he's always going to be a guy who speaks out. If he's concerned about the protocols and things of that nature. It is a little bit surprising, though, that you use that retirement option. Obviously, you can go the Brett Favre route. You can say you're retiring and then come back anyway. But you do have the opt-outs and the $150,000 stipend if you want to walk away for a year. And you do have to pay that back and your contract holds over. But that would seem to be the way to go. But again, Russell's always been a different kind of guy. So he's always going to follow his own lead, and that's fine. It's been his history.
Meanwhile, the other guy, Harry, is a former first-round draft pick by the Miami Dolphins, Dion Jordan. He was with the Raiders last year, you remember? And then he was suspended for a while. The Raiders picked him up, and now he signed today with the San Francisco 49ers. He missed the entire 2015 season for failing a drug test, and he sat out 2016 as well. So he probably still has a lot left in the tank. Your thoughts on Dion Jordan now with the San Francisco 49ers on that defensive line?
Yeah, he's fine. He's certainly got enough tread on the tire, so that's not the problem. Obviously, if you go back to that draft, Chip Kelly was in Philadelphia. He badly wanted Dion Jordan at number 4 overall. So the Dolphins went up to get him.
Yeah, he was from Oregon,
keep him
right?
Away from Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
And the Eagles landed Lane Johnson. So that's another example of better to be lucky than good.
Exactly. Weren't the Niners weren't they looking at Ziggy Ansah earlier in this week too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing ever happened with that, I guess.
No, they obviously made their decision, similar to the Eagles with Vinny Curry. I mean, there's guys out there, Everson Griffin, most notably. I mean, he can still play, but he's 32, 33. He's had some issues off the field as far as mental health. And then you can't look at guys during the pandemic. You haven't been able to have them visit, things like that. So it's interesting when you see teams make decisions. In the case of Jordan, obviously, I mean, the physical skills are off the charts, but the guy never plays. It's been so long. It's hard to imagine him being that effective.
Now, with the opt-outs, 66 total guys in the NFL opted out by the deadline. And obviously the Patriots were the ones who got hit the hardest. Would they have 9 guys or 10? I think it was 9.
Yeah, they had the most. I think it was officially 8, but they by far the most.
8. You're right. It's 8.
The Steelers, Chargers, Steelers, and Falcons, I believe, were the only teams that didn't have anybody. So yeah, you kind of wonder what the heck was going on. I mean, 66 players, a little bit more than I expected, but that's just over 2 per team. So basically, if you're under 2, you probably feel pretty good today. And if you're way over 2, like the Patriots, you're not feeling good.
What's the latest with Doug Peterson and his coronavirus quarantine?
Well, he's still doing things virtually, and obviously you have that 10-day period. So it's going to be because he actually tested positive. You know, Ryan and I did a podcast yesterday about Matthew Stafford, the false positive.
The false positive. I was going to get to that. You wrote about that in the Philly Voice as well. I read that this morning.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty amazing. And you see the people shaming Kelly Stafford and his family.
And his kids at school and everything.
Screaming at her as she goes to the grocery store. And that poor woman, she just had brain surgery. And these knuckleheads are screaming at her, saying she's putting people in jeopardy. This is a mess, this entire thing.
I totally agree with you. People are nuts, man. Mm-hmm. And I mean that in a bad way.
I mean, this has brought all the nuts to the surface.
Yes.
Well, when
they were always nuts, Tony.
When did we, as society, start shaming people now that come out with a positive test of COVID-19? And let alone they don't even know it's a false positive.
Right.
And obviously that family's going through a lot. Like, who the hell are you, dude, to get behind your keyboard like a keyboard monster troll and come at this guy? It's absolutely sickening.
Like you're intentionally going out to get the virus and give it to other people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, come on, dude.
I like to find those people, put them all in a gigantic corral, and then spray coronavirus on them. And leave them in that gigantic, like a bull ring.
Is there coronavirus spray?
I don't know. It's probably somebody will make it.
Because I want to get that deer antler spray.
The deer antler stuff is good.
I want to get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you just put them in this gigantic bull ring.
We went through it locally with Lane Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He got shamed because he did he does that O-line mastermind summit, and people saw the video where they were eating wings and not socially distancing. So the Twitter contact tracers, they made their diagnosis and said that's where he got it. And then he came back to Jersey and the Philadelphia area, and he was handing out water ice to healthcare workers at a South Jersey hospital. And they're shaming him over that. Like he's trying to give these people coronavirus. And by the way, that the people shaming him would never in a million years do something, take time out of their day to do something altruistic.
Well, I think
it's amazing, these people.
I think the Twitter contact tracers traced the chicken wings back to the plant in Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania, in Lebanon County, John, that was struck with a severe case of coronavirus.
Yes.
I think that's how they did it.
I mean, and then the second part of that is obviously people have too much time on their hands. So they need something to do, and they need a purpose in life, and it's not shaming others, especially in the case of somebody like Kelly Stafford, who, as I said, has been through quite a lot and doesn't need people shaming her and her kids when she goes to the grocery store.
There's they're wusses, those people, but there's no bigger wusses than the New York Yankees. I mean, I hate to take it away from football, but when Aaron Boone and the pitcher last night are complaining about a couple of fans outside the stadium making noise and the announcers being too loud so they can't focus. Now what is this,
come on,
golf?
This competitive balance, Tony. You can't have those air horns.
Hey, they're
I
not
think
just
they amplify COVID-19 as well.
They probably do.
They're not just a bunch of fans, Tony. They have a name.
I know
the Fandemic Crew.
The Fandemic Crew.
PHAN.
Exactly right.
Previously known as the Wolf Pack.
Right.
Previously,
the unemployed Wolf Pack have a job again.
Yeah. Remember who were the other guys? There was the Wolf Pack.
The Padilla Flotilla was one of my favorites.
That would be racist.
Well,
now,
because
they had paddles and they had sombreros on. That's an outrage, man. Unbelievable. All right, John.
I do think Harry's on to something with the unemployed part of it, though.
Well, there's no doubt about that. No doubt. Now, we mentioned guys that are still out there. Now, Vinny Curry resigns for another year with the Eagles. Remember, he left a couple of years ago went away.
Went
and
to
then
Tampa, I
went
think,
to
for a
Tampa,
year, right?
It was invisible.
Yeah.
And then came back to Philly, where he obviously grew up in South Jersey. He still gets his car deals over there at Blackwood, what is it?
I have no idea.
Blackwood, Chrysler, Plymouth, or one of those places.
Yeah, Vinny, by the way, is a huge Ric Flair fan as well.
Oh, yeah?
So we have that in common.
And did he know that we have you now on your avatar as you walk onto the show? We don't have an organist playing Beat It.
Now that he's back, now that he's back, if I ever get him on Zoom, I'll try to tell him.
We have you photoshopped your head in the Ric Flair complete, beautiful red
With the robe.
red robe from back in the day.
It's a good picture.
As I said, people have too much time on their hands.
Exactly. It's Mount Holly Nissan. I'm sorry. I got the wrong dealerships mixed up. I don't want to give the wrong dealer credit for the greatness that is Vinny Curry and your Philadelphia Eagles. But speaking of defensive linemen.
By the way, with Vinny, Andrew Berry, who was here with the Eagles last year, he wanted to sign Vinny Curry with the Cleveland Browns. He's the GM of the Browns now. And offered more money. But Vinny's from North Jersey, loves the Eagles, grew up an Eagles fan, wanted to play here, and he waited it out, and he's back.
Now, I read you wrote that he actually had a bigger money offer elsewhere, and he came back
here. That was
here.
Cleveland,
That was the Cleveland Browns, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are a bunch of other guys still out there that people have been salivating over for the last couple of months, and they're there ripe for the picking as free agents, including Jadeveon Clowney. Mm-hmm. What the hell's going on with that situation?
Well, from the start, I mean, Jadeveon wanted outrageous money. He wanted $20 million a year, and the market just wasn't there for him. And now we are where we are on the calendar. He's had offers. Cleveland, that's another player. They wanted Jadeveon Clowney badly. He didn't want to play there. There's talk that he wants to play with what he perceives as a contender. Which may be the case. Ultimately, I think he's going to end up back in Seattle. They still want a pass rusher. And at some point, he's got nowhere else to go, and he's just going to accept a one-year deal for what he can get.
Another former guy from the Eagles, Tim Jernigan, is out on the street still, too, huh?
Yeah, well, I think in Tim's case, I think it has to do more with the health aspect. He actually signed. And the deal was never completed. Remember, he had a herniated disc, and it was a career-threatening injury, and he missed a long period of time. Managed to work his way back, but there's still clearly some issues. He's not the same guy he was before the injury, and it was a weightlifting injury. He didn't hurt himself on the field or anything of that nature. So you have to look at Tim Jernigan and wonder if he's ever going to play again, because there's a lot of medical concerns there.
What's this thing you did something with Zach Ertz? Was that this morning?
Yeah, we were Zooming with Zach today.
Oh, I love that. Is that a new segment? Is that going to be extending the play and Zooming with Zach?
Yeah, we're taking it to the road.
I like that. What's he got going?
But, it's interesting because he went out of his way to talk about the governor in Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, and potentially shutting down high school sports, as a lot of people are across the country. And I think they kicked the can. They announced something like an hour ago. I think they just kicked the can down the road. But, Zach brought it up by himself. Nobody asked the question. And he pointed out that when he was in high school, his parents were getting a divorce. He was in a really dark place. And in a lot of ways, high school football saved him. It was his outlet. So he's really passionate about it, and he brought it up. And you mentioned these politicians, man, they're really, really bad with unintended consequences. They don't think about outside the box issues, and that's part of the problem.
John McMullen breaking it down as only he can. And then the big story here when it comes to local sports and high school sports and elementary schools, governors, of course, are laying down their edicts about or here in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf yesterday said he's recommending that there be no youth sports, kindergarten through grade 12. And now a lot of the local leagues, soccer leagues, youth soccer, the PIAA, they're having meetings, and they're deciding they say they're the ones that are going to make the decision. The governor can make recommendations, but can the governor of a state, does he have the legal authority to shut down sports in a particular state, John?
Well, probably not, but they're going to try at some point, some state, at some level. I mean, you're seeing checkpoints in New York City. I mean, people. You're seeing in Los Angeles, they're trying to shut off the water if you're having a party with too many people, and the electricity. So certain constituencies are bending over backwards to kind of see how far they can go, and ultimately somebody's going to try to do it.
Now, well, Deandre Baker and Quentin Dunbar, where are we with that? I think Deandre Baker is going to be prosecuted, right? But Dunbar is not.
Yeah, he got Deandre Baker had 4 indictments, so he is in some deep water. Dropped the charges essentially against Dunbar, lack of evidence, so he's got a better chance, obviously. They're both on the commissioner's exempt list right now, though, including Dunbar. So it's not a clear path for him to return just yet because the NFL, as you know, and this is another example, not a politician, but executives with unintended consequences. They got into the investigation business, and it's dumb, but they do it. They do their own parallel investigating, so they could suspend him still just because he's not going to be indicted or prosecuted.
Now, the interesting thing is Sports Law Lost, our good buddy Dan Lost, the attorney, he pointed out that it was Dunbar's lawyer who said, it was Jordan's Baker's lawyer who spotted that my guy's not going to get any charges. Don't worry about it. And boom, he got charged.
And the other guy didn't.
Dunbar didn't. And now, of course, all the Seahawks fans are tweeting Clowney because they figure with that situation, now they can go and get Clowney back in Seattle. Do you see that as the possibility, John?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, at some point it dries up, and Clowney has turned down offers. As I said, he wanted a ton of money at the start of this thing. Everybody has pretty much budgeted what they were going to budget at different positions. So he claims he wants to play for a contender. Seattle is a contender with Russell Wilson. It just makes the most sense for him to ultimately end up back there.
Didn't Cleveland offer Clowney? Wasn't that one of the teams that offered? He turned it down?
Yeah, he turned it down. Said he wanted to play with a winner. Didn't consider that the Browns were on the cusp. I kind of agree with him there. If he wanted the most money, that's where he would have went. And that's why the Browns keep striking out. They struck out on Vinny Curry, obviously a much lesser player, but they're still trying to find some kind of extra pass rush there, and they haven't been able to get it yet.
John McMullen, you getting it all here every week with us.
Extending the play, Philly voice, SI. He's
Zooming
everywhere.
With Zach.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not getting those kinds of shows anywhere else, Harry. I'll tell you that right now. We'll have a Joel Embiid update coming up, Harry. There's breaking news on the Joel Embiid front.
Can't wait.
You're going to want this. I guarantee.
Does it involve load management?
No, it doesn't. It involves pimping product, which is even more important than anything else, John. Who needs to win a game against the Orlando Magic on a Friday night when you got stuff to pimp? We'll get to that and a whole bunch more, plus some more news out of baseball with the Anaheim, Los Angeles, Disneyland adjacent story, where there's a development today in the death of their player last year. Yes. Apparently they made an arrest. Someone who was in the organization somehow that sold the fentanyl, which eventually cost Tyler Skaggs his life in that tragic story last year, which was kept under wraps for a while because nobody knew and they wanted to make sure they investigated, and now there's been an arrest. We'll tell you more about that. It's a former Angels employee who's been indicted for distributing the fentanyl to Tyler Skaggs.
At JF McMullen on Twitter.
Exactly right.